Hello guys, welcome to the Mythic Tavern, and today I'm going to be giving you a full tour guide of Uldaman Legacy of Tyr, one of the brand new dungeons in World of Warcraft Dragonflight. Of course, everyone is familiar with Uldaman. It's one of the classic dungeons being completely remade for the purposes of lore and just story in general, and enemies and stuff like that in Dragonflight. And I actually think it's one of the cooler dungeons as well. I really like Ruby Life Pulse. I also like this one. So it's pretty dope, and I'm going to be playing again as the Evoker because I just want to play the new class, and more people can see how the Evoker plays in group content, and it's just a lot of fun. So yeah, and this is not like a guide on how to do everything. I am going to be commenting here and there on some of the boss fights, but it's not like, oh, this is how you do this, this is how you do that. No, that's going to be way later down the line when Mythic Zero is actually around, and it's probably playable in retail and released, because right now there's no point in doing that. This is a heroic dungeon. With that being said, guys, enjoy this content, and if you like this type of content and you want to see more, make sure you like and subscribe. And if you subscribe, you will also get really good luck in your vaults in Season 4 Shadowlands and beyond that. Of course, if you don't subscribe, then you're going to be stuck with the same gloves or necklace for the next weeks and months to come, and of course we don't want that. So do your thing wisely. With that being said, guys, enjoy this footage, and I will see you soon. Alright, fellas, here we go. Our first pull in Uldaman Legacy of Tyr. It's a pretty easy pull. Just a couple of regular trogs. Nothing special. They're not even elites. It's just like a starting pack. I don't even know why they really put them there, but it's, just there to get things warmed up, I guess. So easy peasy. And then there's this one guy. I think these guys are able to be interrupted for one of their abilities. And you obviously have to stay out of that quaking thing that they do. And yeah, I'm gonna wreck this pack with the Evoker. Man, Evoker's so much fun. They do get enraged with Reckless Rage, so you're probably on higher, when you actually do a Mythic Plus, that'll probably be an issue that you'll have to be worried for. You don't actually have to pull this pack, but we're all kind of new here, and Tank is just pulling whatever he sees. You can skip this thing by going to the right. Again, it's just a bunch of non-elite trogs, I think, with one elite. Yeah, we're gonna go over here, and we're actually gonna pull a full elite pack over here. You can interrupt their stun spikes. I'm pretty sure on Mythic Plus you're gonna want to interrupt as much as possible. Yeah, the AoE for the Evoker is just kind of insane. They're just so much fun. And they, like, traverse really quickly in dungeons, too. I think we could have probably skipped that. I was trying to, but I think they pulled. I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, I'm gonna heal myself here. The off healing is really nice. If you're in trouble, you can also save people as well. So it's pretty cool. I'm not really looting anything because it's just kind of pointless to loot stuff. Okay, so there's a big guy in here, the Berserkers. Those guys are pretty nasty. You definitely want to, I feel like, target them real quick and just nuke them down as fast as possible. They do a lot of different things. At least on, I assume on Mythic Plus keys, they're going to be priority. And then you want to interrupt the little dudes because they do a lot of casting and stuff with Chain Lightning. That room you could, that's where the boss is actually. And I think what happens in here, we accidentally pull the boss and then we end up resetting him. So yeah, I think that might happen here. Yeah, that's exactly what happened here. So it is the Lost Vikings. Fight is actually pretty simple. We're gonna reset them here in a second, I think. Yeah, see, they got reset because one of them ran out outside the zone or whatever. Yeah, so we just gotta wait a bit. We got a little bit scared because we thought that they might have been bugged, but there they are. So you just kind of fight them. Let the tank tank the other dude. I think the other guys just do whatever they want. I'm not really sure if they have a threat or not, but I know the dude with the shield does. I think it's Balog that has the shield. So at the beginning they fight like all together at once. They're casting different abilities here, like the heavy arrow. On a heroic version, this is kind of difficult to explain because it's like fights are so fast and short. So, and what they do is when they get a certain amount of health, they get on a boat, they start bombing you. So obviously you just want to avoid all this stuff. This is a pretty easy boss. I think it's gonna be an easy boss on Mythic Plus. I don't see why it would be super difficult. This boss is not really like you know, any complicated mechanics. There's no interrupts in this fight as far as I'm aware. And honestly, you just have to dodge the bombs. And I mean, for the most part, people are pretty much used to dodging a lot of stuff. Unless you, of course, you run with really bad players. But that's besides the point. Bring your friends and good pugs, if they exist. Yeah, and we got some piece of loot. But, you know, who cares about loot on Alpha? It doesn't really matter anyway. Oh yeah, achievements, whoopie doopty. Okay, so here's another pack that I ran into. I didn't mean to do that. I forgot that they were right around the corner. But the tank got it, and we're just gonna AoE the hell out of them. So in here, I'm gonna use the landslide to stun them, and then I'm gonna do my fire breath, just because I love seeing a lot of numbers. And then I'm gonna do my missile thingy, and dude, it's just so much fun. You can combo them so well. Yeah, they're definitely gonna be probably a top pick for Mythic Plus because they just have so many movement, so much movement, off healing, and just a lot of good AoE. They got extra, you know, distance stunts. I mean, you could stun a group across the room. It's pretty crazy, you know. You can save people. I mean, it's just they can do a lot of things pretty well. I don't know how much they're gonna get nerfed by, but you know, just like with any expansion, the new classes are always top, like, of the game, and they're just made to be that way because they're just, you know, meant to sell you on the hype. So we're coming up to the second boss here. After cleaning this pack, again, it's just a bunch of geomancers. They're pretty nasty. You're definitely gonna want to nuke them down on Mythic Plus as fast as possible. So I think these are gonna be the harder packs, and as you can see, they also berserk. So yeah. Okay, so this boss is for the most part pretty much tank and spank. I don't think there's that much stuff to stay away from. But basically what he does is he summons a lot of minions, and what's gonna happen is there's gonna be a bell that's gonna get summoned, and you have to destroy the bell. When you destroy the bell, it does like a loud noise, and everyone gets knocked off, including the boss. You guys don't get knocked off, but the boss gets knocked off with all the enemies, and then you just nuke him down, and it's pretty much as simple as that. It's gonna pop here soon. There it is. Oh yeah, it's a quaking totem, not a bell. So you destroy the quaking totem, and then basically he's just gonna get put on the floor, and then you just basically beat him to death. But yeah, if you don't destroy it fast enough, you're gonna get killed. If you guys kind of saw that we had, you know, all of us were like halfway dead, and this was like on heroic. So you can imagine Mythic Plus, this is gonna be really rough, and it's gonna be a DPS check on that totem switch. So yeah, and then we're just gonna rinse and repeat, and hopefully not get him into the second phase or whatever. I'm gonna assume you're probably gonna want to lust here on this boss. I don't think you really need to lust on Vikings. They're easy. On this boss, you definitely want to probably lust when the totem appears. Yeah. So at least that's my opinion. I'm not telling you how that's 100% gonna be. But that's just what I'm predicting. This is not like a full-on dedicated official guide or anything like that, guys. It's literally just a tour guide just to give you a preview of what I think is going to be how. And that's pretty much it. Alright, so we just wait here for the RP for the door to open, and then we're going to go in here. And I think we're waiting on somebody. Oh yeah, I think they were confused on where to go. So we got these new mobs here, custodians. They're pretty nasty, and you just want to nuke them down as quick as possible. Out of all the dungeons that I've done, I would say that Uldaman is very it's gonna be a fun Mythic Plus, man. I really enjoyed this instance. It brings me back to the old days. Uldaman was one of my favorites. And these snake people, you want to, when they bite you, you want to run away from them because they start getting enraged. I think they're basically gonna be like the enemy from BFA in that Temple of Storms or Shrine of Storms, where they berserk and you gotta run away from them, and the Buccaneers or whatever in Gambit, the ones that get really large and angry, and you gotta kite them. I think this is the same type of a mob, but I could be wrong. Obviously on heroic, we're not kiting them because they just die so fast it doesn't even matter, and the amount of damage that they do is meaningless. Plus we get scaled up to 70, and they give us gear to kind of test this stuff out. A lot of the stuff is really more for like testing for bugs. testing to make sure the bosses work right, and things like that. It's a very early, it's an alpha version of the expansion, so there's not going to be like perfect tuning and things like that. It's just not going to happen. You can tell them if you think it's a little bit too hard or easy, but for the most part it's all about the functionality and stuff. And the reason why I'm standing here is because I'm explaining them how to do the fight. But basically, this boss is pretty easy, or I would like to think so. So you're gonna get these three things. You don't want to stand next to each other when you have that circle on you, and then you want to get away from that thing on the floor. And what's gonna happen is basically wherever you left it off, you're gonna have a bunch of orbs. If you run into the orbs, you're gonna get stunned like I did. And what you want to do is the tank needs to bring the boss through the orbs. Because it's very easy to make the mistake of getting on the orbs then getting stunned yourself. So you gotta go like on the other side of the orb, so the tank goes, so the boss goes through it and gets stunned. I think you have to do it at least twice to get him stunned. Yeah, and obviously another thing is on Mythic there's gonna be more mechanics. So this is heroic version. I'm not sure what else this boss is gonna have, but yeah, see. Over there, the tank got stunned again. He ran into it. As you can see, him dazed. But, we killed him again. This is heroic. And these guys are new to the fight. But that's basically how it works. I know that was not really the best demo, but, I don't really get to pick people that I play with. But either way, thanks to them for coming with me to the group and making this possible. And you're getting a group together for a dungeon and alpha is kind of difficult because there's not a lot of people on there. And a lot of people just want to test out, like, the Evoker and the leveling. And there's the landslide. I mean, look at that, man. You stun them across the room. It's insane. But when you do damage, the stun disappears. So they don't get stunned anymore. But it's a good way to save people and escape from something really bad. And just buy yourself enough time to heal yourself or have the healer heal you. Because remember, as the Evoker, you could heal yourself. So that's a really important aspect. And here I'm trying to see how I can jump. And we ended up pulling 2 extra packs here. And I think I'm gonna die here because I completely messed this up, so I'm freaking out over here, trying to figure out how to stay alive and pressing all kinds of wrong buttons and trying to heal myself. And I'm getting stunned, and then this happens, and then, yeah, all kinds of crap. But I think we made it. Obviously, if this was a Mythic 0, we probably would have been dead. But yeah. Yeah, I would say that this trash is probably a little bit harder than the trash at the beginning, just because there's so many of them. And these casters really do a lot of damage, and then you have these orbs that throw little balls at you. And as you can see, man, I'm almost dead, because they threw everything at me, and I don't think they have aggro or anything like that. I think they're just objects that stay there and just target random people or a specific person. I'm not 100% sure exactly how they work, but yeah, that's my assumption. And then we got the golems here. For the most part, the golems don't really do much. I feel like the smaller dudes, the dwarf dudes, you probably want to take them down first, because a lot of the casting mobs are usually the ones who do most damage to the group. And yeah, that's why you just want to take them down. And I think some of them are also interruptible, so you definitely want to keep that in mind for Mythic Plus. And then we go into the beast section where we kill a bunch of spiders and bats. Man, I remember the old Uldaman used to take forever, like an hour to do. It was just such a large instance. Yeah, and here we got 5 bosses. It's still a pretty decently long dungeon. It's probably the longest out of all the dungeons that I've done so far. Ruby Life Pulse is really quick. I would say like 10 to 15 minutes. I think that one's gonna be the easiest to time, is Ruby Life Pulse so far, because of how short that dungeon is. And it's not only the fact that it has 30 bosses that it's short because of that. It's short because there's not many mobs that you have to kill. There's maybe like 4 or 5 packs at the beginning, and then like 5 more packs in the middle of the dungeon. And the last 2 bosses are back to back. Literally back to back. There's nothing to kill in between. So that dungeon is probably going to be really easy to Mythic Plus. Unless like they tune it really high on the bosses and stuff. So here we are on Amberon. This is a really cool fight. I like this fight. This is probably going to be a puck killer though. So you got these orbs that fly around in different directions, and if you get hit by that, you're gonna get hit for a lot. And you also get the red arrow on you, and you blow up and explode and do damage to your group, so you gotta get away from other people, but the damage you do have to take, and I think we already have a dead person. So he's gonna get in the middle after a certain amount of HP. It's based on HP. he's gonna put up a shield, so you can't really damage him, and then you gotta destroy the golems that have the red laser pointing to him, and then you have to go along the circle with the beam, because if you go into the beam, you're gonna get killed. So yeah, this kind of reminds me of that fight in Mechagon with the little gnome dude, where you have the lasers going around and you have to go with him, and then there's a bunch of gears. It's kind of similar to this, or to that I should say. So yeah, and this is pretty much the entire fight. You just kind of go around, and obviously the red circle in the middle also pulsating damage, so it's gonna be pretty healer intensive on higher keys. Yeah, this one is definitely gonna be rough, and if your DPS is down, it's just gonna get worse, because you want to nuke down those statues as much as possible. Here, I got the arrow on me, so I'm just gonna stay out of it. Yeah, he did 37k to me, and there I almost got hit by that orb. If I would have gotten hit by that orb, I probably would have died. So this fight is probably, in my opinion, the most difficult one. But I like it. It's a good, challenging fight, and it's just fun. For me, anyway. And, you know, for the Evoker, it's probably gonna be pretty easy, because they have so much movement. You know, warriors can leap out of it, we can hover out of it, paladins can do that, you know, use their charging steed or whatever, and then rinse and repeat until the boss is dead. And here I am, you know, healing the tank here. Again, Evoker's off healing is nice to have, because if the healer is dead, you can help him out, or you know, you're kind of struggling to finish the boss off at like 10% or something, and you have a little bit of healing, and even though you're not a healer, you have at least enough to get him, you know, make the tank stay alive long enough to kill the boss. So yeah, it's pretty good stuff. And then he's dead now. There we go. I think we got a B-res or something on that guy too. I think we might have B-resed earlier, or he wasn't able to get to him. Either way, that boss is dead. So that's really the hard part of Uldaman, in my opinion. And then we're gonna kill a few more mobs here. We're coming up. Yeah, Pyre is nice, man. So Pyre, you throw this fireball out of your mouth, and then when it lands, it just does damage to other people as well. I think you have to spec into the AoE portion of it in the talents, but I could be wrong, but I believe I did spec into it. Otherwise, I think it's single target, or damages one target and another one, and then the AoE one does more targets, I think. I could be wrong, I'll have to double check on the talents. But my point is that it's a fun ability to use. Yeah, so the Earth Water Weavers are the ones who are doing those weird orbs that really damage people for a lot of DPS, for a lot of health. So you want to definitely kill the Weavers first, over the big golem dudes. That Fire Breath has a pretty long range. And there we go. Getting close to the last boss here. Yeah, you got a double golem up here. Oh man, that's such a fun ability to use. Yeah, and then you can just do this. It's great. And then you can stun. Awesome stuff. And they have another dragon flying over them. It's fantastic, man. Yeah, I think this is the last room before the last pack of ads before the boss. On Mythic Plus, you're probably gonna want to pull 2 of those groups, honestly. Assuming that you guys can handle the heat here. I should be able to, though. If you can take down the Weavers real quick. Yeah, I think ideally you do definitely want to do a double pull here. Yeah, I think the path for the Mythic Plus here is really straightforward. Because there's not really any like off-beaten paths that you can go here. It's a very linear dungeon, so you don't really have a choice of which packs to take. Unless there's some sort of a special affix where you can skip stuff like in Shadowlands Season 3 with the WoW. mob that you could have killed that gives you invis and then you can run to the other room or something like that, like you did in Gambit back in season 3 of Shadowlands. So I don't know what the affix is gonna be for Dragonflight, but who knows? Yeah, so maybe that could change something. But in here, actually, you can also cheese this. I think what you do is you have a couple of people standing outside, and then some. Yeah, so what you do is you have your entire group standing outside, and then Tank going in, because the people who are outside before they enter this room, they don't get stunned, so they can actually pull things. So I think in that case, you want to have the Tank standing outside with the group, and then maybe have one of the DPS do the pull, so you know, have himself stunned, and that way the group can kill the rest of them off while the RP is playing, and that's how you're probably gonna save time. Assuming they're gonna fix that though, then you're not gonna be able to do it. But it is a pretty cool trick that you can do right now. We didn't do it here because, you know, we're just running through the dungeon. But yeah, so interesting detail there. And it's just, these mobs are pretty easy to kill. Just AoE them down and interrupt their spells and stuff. They don't do much. So another cool thing is that right here I can fly over, and I believe I can actually do a double thing here. Yeah, and then I'm gonna do this. Yeah, it's awesome, dude. So much fun. I think those specs you can skip, but we pulled them on accident. Alright, so here we are going into the final boss room. Oh, this boss is, I wouldn't say it's an amazing boss, but it's pretty easy. So what you want to do is, as far as I'm concerned, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but I believe the way this boss works is you want to avoid the sand, but when you get into the into a different timeline or whatever, you want to stand on the sand. I guess it's like flipping the hourglass or something. So you want to avoid that stuff right now, and then just basically do as much damage to the boss as you can. And there's no ads here. It's just a take and spank fight, and, you know, avoiding stuff. And then he does that knockback. So you definitely want to be careful where you're standing, because you don't want to get knocked into the sand here. And then he does the fire breath too. Avoid that. So the tank probably just has to, you know, tank him like right there against the wall. And then he's gonna rewind the time flow. So you want to soak up all the sand stuff. I believe if you don't soak it up, I think something really bad happens. I've never had it where no one soaked it up, so I'm not sure exactly what happens. But in here, as you can see, damage is starting to ramp up, and I'm trying to heal myself. And I'm also trying to damage the boss as well, so, you know, you're gonna have decisions where you're like, do I heal myself or do I damage the boss? I think if the boss is like 2% and you're like at 20%, you probably should just damage the boss at that point. Yeah, this one guy, this other warrior is getting really low, our DPS warrior Terraforce. So it's getting a little bit hairy because of all the damage here. And I'm dead, but I think we make it. Yeah, and there we go. So that is Uldaman, Legacy of Tyr, guys. I hope this is a pretty chill tour guide for you, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I will be seeing you soon in the next one. Make sure to like, subscribe, and peace out, and have a good one.